Hi, so today I wanted to talk to you about health. I watched a Netflix series called Live to Be 100, The Secrets of Blue Zones, where they explore places all over the world where people have the highest life expectancy. And the guy, he analyzes the way of life of those people in different places across the globe, of the people who lived longest, in order to find the commonalities between them so that you can know what to do in order to live the longest and the healthiest lives. First, I will talk about each of those places separately, and then at the end, we'll look at the common factors between all of them. So what things are the same, are continuous throughout those blue zones. So the first blue zone is Okinawa in Japan. They talk a lot about nutrient-dense food there. They also have in a culture a saying that represents a way of eating, that they stop when they are 80% full, which is also a very good practice. That when you have a meal, if you can, you should not eat as much as possible so that you are not feeling heavy or sleepy after the meal. When your stomach gets filled to 80%, they say to stop eating. At some point during a meal, you can observe a phase where you feel satisfied. Like you can eat more, but you have eaten enough to not feel hungry anymore. And that's the perfect place to stop eating. They also eat many different foods, mainly plant-based. A lot of their diet consists actually of a sweet potato called benu imo, but they also eat a lot of different variety of vegetables and legumes. A lot of people on this island, Okinawa, also work on their garden, even if they are very old, like 90 years old or 100 years old. They still have a lot of daily physical activity connected to working around the house or around the garden. Even small things like not having chairs sitting on the floor actually gives them a lot of exercise, that they have to basically do squats all day just to sit at the table. They also have a very strong community. They have things called moai, and those moai things are groups of people that help each other in terms when there's a need. So they can help each other financially, but they also spend time together, dancing, singing, having activities. Also, the family aspect of the life in this village is, in this island is very deep and meaningful for them. They spend a lot of time with their elders. The whole families are spending time together. So a few generations of people can live together. For instance, loneliness is one of the major causes of early death. If you don't have deep, valuable social relations, that can lead to as much as 15 years being taken from your life on average. So if you are feeling lonely and you don't have meaningful, healthy relationships with others, that psychological impact can translate to physiological impact that will lower your life expectancy. They also talk about something that is called ikigai. and ikigai is their mission. They don't go on a retirement, that they spend their time at home watching television, doing nothing productive with their life. Even if they are 90 or 100 years old, if they can work, they tend to do that. They maybe work, take care of their house or their family members, or they practice their craft, they keep their job if possible. So the sense of mission, the sense of purpose in life also is a factor that keeps them going. Even the thing of like a garden, there's this method, this trick, I would call that usually when your life partner, so like your spouse, your husband or wife dies, there's a higher probability of you dying in the next 3 months. I think the probability is increased by 66% that your death and the death of your partner will be correlated. And actually having a pet, an animal to take care of, or even as such a simple thing as a garden or a plant to take care of, gives you at least some sense of meaning in your life, that your existence actually has an impact on the environment around you, and that can also increase your life expectancy. And that also increases physical activity. If you have a garden or a pet, if it's a dog, then you have to go for a walk every day. If you have a garden, that takes a lot of time and physical activity to also take care of that, and brings you healthier life. Also, they are very religious, and being part of faith-based community can also prolong your life, even by statistically speaking, of course, 7 years if you are an active member. That all comes back to the meaning of your life and the faith and the community aspect of it also, that you have to be, you have to attend like the prayers, go to the church in order for this statistic to work. You have to be like active part of the community, an active member of that community. So the next place we will visit is Sardinia in Italy. It's another blue zone where there are actually many. This is a place in Italy where the blue zones form sort of a blob on the map. So they are all grouped together. It's I think 7 villages next to each other in the mountains in Sardinia. And what is interesting about that is that although in this area there are more than those 7 villagers, only those 7 tend to have much higher expectancy rate than is the global average. And they actually determined a very funny factor, that one of the most important factor that distinguishes the villages with the longer life expectancy is actually the steepness of your village. So how hard is it, how difficult is it to go uphill? If your village is more steep, that will take more energy and be a better cardio workout for you. So by doing everyday chores like going to the shop, going for a walk, you're actually having a very good workout. It's like comparing walking on like normal path compared to walking in mountains or walking on stairs. It's much more difficult for you, for your muscles and for your heart to go uphill, which is a better cardio activity for you. They also tend to eat a lot of bread, a lot of pasta, but they use high quality ingredients and they make it themselves. They make a lot of sourdough bread, which this bread, if I remember correctly, lowers your body's capacity of sugar intake, something like that. Basically, if you eat sourdough bread, it's produced using a very healthy bacteria that is good for your gut and overall health. So they eat a lot of carbs, but those carbs are of very good quality. They also have lower average stress rates. So the global average stress rate is around 35%. And in America and USA, for instance, the average daily stress rate is actually 55%. So it's nearly double. And that also has a huge impact on the life expectancy of people in the US, as many other factors. But stress is good for us. It's a motivation to take action. Stress is actually connected to the energy production part of our body. So stress is a response that gives us energy to act. So usually when you are feeling stressed, that means that there is something you can do about the situation. Technically speaking, if you are stressing about some situation and you do all of the possible actions that you can take, then that should lower your stress levels. In Sardinia, there are also no retirement homes. So the families, they tend to stick together and take care of their elders, which also is that community factor that's so important. And this community factor, that relationship quality, is an effect not only observed in the study of the blue zones, but the modern Western medicine and psychology also agrees that deep, valuable connections between people, deep relationships, they increase our life expectancy. So not caring for your elders, putting them in retirement home, for instance, will bring down their life expectancy by about 2 to 6 years. And those villages in Sardinia are also very religious. Some of the people living there go to church every day, and that can also bring more purpose and bring the community closer together. The next place we visit is called Loma Linda in USA. It's a place with strong sense of community and religion and activity. So the community are based around activities like working out, doing sports together, volunteering together, and around religion. The community is very active. There are a lot of public places where they can spend time actively together. And they also do a lot of volunteering on average, which is a very powerful way to bring that sense of community, productivity, and meaning into your life, that you are doing something that is productive, helping the world improve around you. Which is also very important for your well-being, because your habits are also based on the group of people you are dealing with. So for instance, if your friends are very active, you will spend more time doing sports with them. If majority of your friends smoke, then you are more likely to also become a smoker. So your habitat truly is contagious. So it's very important to find the right tribe, the right group of people that do the things, that has those habits that you want to develop. Next place is Ikaria. Ikaria is an island in Greece with very, very low dementia levels and very high life expectancy. They drink a lot of herbal tea. This island, by many centuries was disconnected from the outside world. So they have a lot of knowledge of how to work the land, grow their own crops, and collect herbs and different plants that just naturally sprout there. So they make a lot of herbal teas that have very good benefits for your life and for your health. They also collect raw honey, which is much healthier than the honey from the shop. Of course, a lot of honey is mixed with sugar. There are things like golden syrup, which is basically sugar with water. But nowadays, the honey is also lower quality, because I was shocked by that, but actually the honey is just mixed with sugar. Normally honey isn't so sweet. Even if you buy natural sugar, natural honey that's produced like from a village, from a local farmer, it's standard thing to just add a lot of sugar to it. And to preserve it for longer periods of time, they use this technique of boiling the glass jars in order to make all of the air escape, so that your honey can be fresh for much longer. And by heating up that honey, you actually kill some of the health benefits that are coming from it. And of course, eating honey with a lot of white sugar in it is not healthy for you. Although I'm not hiding the fact that it's still much better than just using regular sugar. And that honey has some benefits, but of course it would be much better to eat it raw like they do in Icaria. They also use ancient winemaking techniques that are as old as 2000 years old, and that brings a very high quality wine that is actually much healthier than the low quality wine you can find at your local supermarket. So there are actually a lot of chemicals added to the low quality wines, and to make them taste like wine, just to give it a little bit of color. And of course, if you drink cheap wine, I hope you know that it's just not healthy. But if you get access to that high quality wine that is produced from good grapes with the traditional techniques without any added chemicals, it can be actually very beneficial for you. And of course, like it is in Greece, they also spend a lot of time together. Sense of community is very strong. They tend to spend the evenings together, just dancing, drinking, laughing, having fun. And the last place we'll visit is Nicoya in Costa Rica. There are 3.5 times more Centenarians than the global average. So Centenarians are the people that are more than 100 years old. And in Nicoya, they have a great sense of purpose. Like in Okinawa, they tend to work after they don't go on retirement. Basically, they take care of their home. They still are productive in sense of doing meaningful tasks every day that better the life of them or the community. They work out a lot actually, because they do things by hand. There are many things that they do around the house by themselves. Sometimes maybe even using some primitive techniques, like cutting grass with a machete, for instance. But by doing everything by hand, the food and the work around their house, they not only exercise, but they don't use a lot of highly processed foods. They tend to eat a lot of vegetables and high quality beans, corn or squash. And those three, beans, corn and squash, they actually contain all the necessary ingredients, all the necessary amino acids to together give you a lot of protein without giving you a lot of cholesterol or saturated fats that can be found in some meats or large amounts of eggs. So nowadays, a lot of people think that if they go to a gym, for instance, they have to eat proteins that come from meat, because the plant proteins aren't like equivalent. They will not work the same. They will not produce muscles, and that's been debunked. Even people like Arnold Schwarzenegger are vegetarian or vegan diet. I don't remember which one, but basically he doesn't eat meat, and he says that you don't need to eat meat. It's just bullshit. That you can actually get enough protein from a plant-based diet. And also, if you look at a gorilla, bro, he eats leaves and is very, very strong. In Nicoya, they also have a very efficient healthcare system. So that healthcare system takes care of you on a regular basis, so that they tend to keep you healthy. Instead of just curing the disease, they actually protect you from developing it in the first place. So if you compare the amount of budget, of the finances, of the money that is needed to keep that health system going in Costa Rica, it's actually way less compared to other countries. But it is because of the different structure of incentives, actually. If you have a big pharma like they do in the USA, the money is earned actually by treating the disease, not by keeping you healthy. They earn less money if you are healthy. So it's like with the cure for cancer. Is there money to cure the cancer, or is there money to just give you some medicine? Or for instance, with depression, is it better to give you a pill that you have to take for the rest of your life, or give you some treatment that will help you work through that and actually leave it behind you? So the incentive structure around the health system can be kinda against the consumer in many countries. So sometimes you just really have to take care of yourself when the health system is there not to protect you from the sickness, and just to earn money for treating you. Okay, and that was the last place. And let's now summarize what's actually similar among all of those blue zones. So the first, there are 4 parts: natural movement, outlook, wise eating, and connection. So the first part, natural movement, people in those blue zones walk a lot. They usually work in their garden or in their households. They do a lot of chores by themselves. So for instance, we tend to go to work by car, then sit at the desk, go back home, sit at the sofa. We have a vacuum cleaner, automatic vacuum cleaner that just runs around and cleans up for us. We have food that is highly processed. We don't have to spend a lot of time cooking. We don't have our own gardens. We live in big cities where the way of life is just different than the way of life in the blue zones, where people are actually the healthiest and live the longest life. So try to exercise a lot. Try to do things by hand, because that is also an exercise that you will do every day. Another thing is actually outlook on life. They tend to unwind a lot, spend a lot of time with their community. They also have a very strong sense of purpose, and they are usually religious communities. Then it's of course diet, so they eat wisely. They eat plant-based food. They drink high quality wine. They eat in moderation, so they don't overeat, and they consume energy and nutrient dense foods. So what does it mean? Nutrient dense food. If you compare the amount of nutrients in like white toast bread, there are some calories, of course, but there are no micronutrients, so no vitamins, etc. If you get your calories from sandwiches made out of white toast bread compared to people who eat a lot of vegetables, then your caloric interest is just much lower quality than theirs. So try to focus on nutrient-dense foods. For instance, I think that most nutrient-dense food you can find in like your local supermarket are of course the vegetables. And when it comes to animal products, it's actually the liver. Liver from a cow, I think, is the healthiest one. It's the most nutrient-dense food you can find in your supermarket. Of course, some of that nutrients you lose when you cook it. So you can try eating it raw, although that might not be so tasty at first. And the last thing that unites all of the blue zones is the strong sense of community. So they spend a lot of quality time together. They have strong family bonds. They form strong partnerships, and they are part of the right tribe. So the behaviors and the habits of the people around them are shared amongst those communities. So the values, the way of life is shared together and developed through many generations. So summing up, is the movement, the exercise, the diet, healthy, nutrient-dense foods. It's also the more spiritual part, the outlook on life. What is your purpose? What do you do to unwind? Are you stressed? What is your purpose? What is your faith? It's the connections, the deep quality connections with others, with your family, with your partner, with your friends and people around you. Those things are the common factors among the communities that live in the blue zones with the highest, longest life expectancy, where the people are happy living different lives than we do in the cities, and where they can just be chilling and healthy for much longer. So those are basically the basics. Sleep well, eat well, exercise, get the sunlight, work on your quality relations with others, and you will be fine, and you will live, hopefully, a happy life, more than 100 years like they do in the blue zones. Thank you for listening to this podcast. I wish you a long, healthy life. See you in the other one. Bye-bye.